Welcome back to the Mastering Energy Medicine podcast. I'm Beth Manning, and I'm a psychic healer. And the purpose of this podcast is to help you connect to your body, mind, soul, and spirit so you can help to heal your body, make more informed health choices, and fall deeply in love with your life. So today, I want to talk a little bit about healing the root cause. Because you see this so often on social media, in people's posts, talking about getting to the root cause. Or I talk about this as well, that until we really get truly to the root cause of what's causing pain, disease, us to feel heavy or tired or exhausted or not sleeping well or whatever your symptom is, that it's so important that we are able to dig down deep enough so that we're actually treating what's causing your symptoms in the first place. And I see so many people talking about healing the root cause and then sharing a list of symptoms. So sometimes people will talk about, healing autoimmune per se. And they're talking about, okay, we need to fix your gut. We need to put you on a gut healing protocol. You need to eliminate certain foods from your diet. It's important to understand if you have underlying allergies, imbalances, parasites, nutritional deficiencies. Maybe you need different minerals or vitamins that you're lacking. And I think all of this is so important to consider, but I would argue that that's not the root cause of autoimmune, that it's actually the response to the root cause of autoimmune. And we can really apply this to any illness, disease, symptoms that you're having, even if you're just feeling off or imbalanced. Because so often, I think where we fall short is, in modern medicine too, is that we're treating symptoms, but we're not truly understanding what's causing this imbalance in the body, like what's at the heart of that imbalance. And that's really what my years of work have helped me to get to. It's kind of I would take one class that would get me deep, and then I would take another class that would get me deeper, and then I'd be curious about, there's the limitation there, so how can we go even deeper? And I feel like all these roads led to energy work and to looking at the energy of the body. So let's take autoimmune, for instance. At the heart of so many autoimmune diseases is a deep trauma, is going back to childhood where basic needs of safety, support, stability were lacking. And this could be, one incident that happened, a trauma that really shook the trajectory of somebody's life, like a death or a sexual trauma or, something like that. But it can also be little repeated things over time, times when you were told that, when you were invalidated for having an opinion or, you were told to be quiet, little things that add up to big things because at the time, they led to you not feeling safety, not feeling secure, not feeling loved and attached in that relationship that you were having to your parents or caregivers. The most important needs of being a child, because a child can't, give themselves what they need, so they need it from someone else. And when it feels like that's lacking, or when it feels like the ground is unstable at all times, like it's difficult to depend on something, this really affects your nervous system. And that has been what has moved the needle when we start to treat these bigger underlying issues, these things that we carry with us like boulders in our pocket throughout our lives that, maybe you tell yourself, oh, that happened so long ago, it's not really relevant anymore. Or, I should just be able to move on from that. Or doesn't everybody have a crazy childhood? Or maybe there's a fear of, having to go back there and having to relive some of those memories. If you even have memories, a lot of people don't have memories of their childhood. And that's okay too. But, there can be a fear of opening Pandora's box and not knowing what's going to come out and if you're going to be able to handle that. So those are all valid fears. And your body has this way of trying to protect you and guard you from feeling these things. So that's why so often, maybe you don't have memories from childhood, or, maybe your memory is different than what somebody else in your family's memory is, or, it might just be too painful to go back there and access it. So your body is so smart that it tries to protect you from having to re-experience that or feel this pain again. So it creates these blind spots in your awareness that are difficult to access, difficult to get to. But oftentimes these blind spots are the root cause of what you're experiencing right now. And I see so many people going from specialist to specialist, trying these special protocols and programs and medications and, talk therapy. And these are all decent avenues. But the problem is that it often lacks going to that root cause, getting to the actual depth that we need to get to the problem. Because talking about things, working on healing the gut or increasing nutrients or, lowering stress or whatever it is that's prescribed, those things can all be so helpful. But first we must uncover what's truly going on and not just treating the symptoms. And this is where I feel that energy work is different than a lot of other approaches, maybe more physical approaches to healing the body. Because when you are with a practitioner who can very accurately read energy, they can look into those blind spots and see what's there. So I often describe my work as we go into this dark and we find your light. And that's really so much what it's about. Because as humans, we get so stuck in our own stories. We tell the story about childhood that we created. We tell the story about our pain that we created, or maybe how we were mistreated or always had bad luck, or maybe we were always the underdog or the quiet one, the shy one, the one that didn't get ahead, whatever your story is. And I really invite you to stop and look at your story and really listen to how you describe these things. Because so often when we're working with practitioners who can't read energy, they will take your story at face value. And it's like, okay, that's the truth. But so often it's not the truth. And what I mean by it not being the truth is that we have our own perceptions. We have our own blind spots. We have our own ways of working through life and dealing with life and moving through in order to keep us feeling okay about things. In order for us, in our logical human minds, to make sense of things. And the cool thing about reading energy is that we can bypass the story that you've created, and I can look at your energy and see the actual truth of what happened. And the truth of what happened can vary so much between family members. It's so subjective, but energy doesn't lie. So your sister could have a different recollection of an event that happened than your brother does, than you do, than your parents do. But when we actually look at the energy, we can see what was happening in that moment. We can read it like a book and see what the actual incident was and how you responded to it at the time, how you internalized it, and the coping mechanisms that came as the result of that. And those could be totally different for each family member who all witnessed the same event. So that's the beauty of working with energy, because we can go right to that event, to that trauma, to whatever happened, and we can start to read the truth around that. And then we can start to shift it. And the beautiful thing is that you don't have to relive it in order to shift it. This is kind of a myth that we have to be re-traumatized in order to get rid of our trauma. And that's not true. I don't think you have to fully experience a trauma again in order to heal it, especially when we're working with the energy of something. We can start to release the energy, that heaviness, those boulders that you've been carrying around with you for so long. And then we can start to shift into personal empowerment, into growth, into new revelations, into a new story for you to start identifying your life around. Because when we identify with our old story, this often leads to pain, to symptoms, to a diagnosis. Because we're really not meant to carry our childhood around with us forever. We're meant to use it kind of as a catalyst to help us to grow, to return back to our whole selves, and to really return to the truth, to connect to our soul, to our innate wisdom, to our innate goodness, really to learn how to shine our light. So energy healing work is about getting to the root cause, and it's about stripping away everything that's dimming your light. That's really what this work is about. And after we work on the root cause, we might be dealing with some vitamin or mineral deficiencies or some parasites or mold toxicity or something like that. But I see these as down the pipeline. They're not the origination. They're the result of this root cause being there for so long and going untreated. And we run the risk of just chasing our tails forever. Maybe you've had this happen where it felt like, oh, we found the magic thing that's wrong. Maybe it was parasites or mold or a nutritional deficiency. And it was like, okay, we're going to treat that. And then maybe you felt a little bit better. And then, either your symptoms returned or a brand new symptom returned, or you still just kind of didn't feel like yourself again. And that's a great indication that you're not going deep enough, that you're not addressing the actual root cause of what's causing that disease or imbalance in your body. So I invite you to be a detective, to question, am I going deep enough? How can I go deeper? Is this, if you're not getting the results that you desire, that's likely because you're stuck at more of a superficial layer. It's kind of like we have this fire burning at the core of us, but we keep trying to figure out what's the smoke. We're like treating the smoke and ignoring the actual fire. So I want you to think about, are you treating the smoke or are you treating the fire? And if you'd like to treat the fire, I would love to help you do that. I offer a few ways to work together. I have a 3-question Voxer channeling session that I love to do. People send me a few questions about their health, their body, something that's going on. It could be 3 separate conditions or 3 questions about one condition. And I will send you a message back via Voxer. It's usually like at least 5 minutes long and really goes into detail about what I see, what you can start to do to treat it, some things to start looking at, and really creating a deeper understanding for you of what's going on after reading the energy. And I also offer some one-on-one sessions. So if you're like, no, I just want to work together, I want to start some healing, I offer these grid light healing sessions, which is my unique modality. It's unique to my work and my energy. And it's phenomenal for really working on these imbalances in your body, providing clarity, guidance. We tend to go so much deeper than the physical body, really helping you to understand what's going on and starting to shift that energy so you can feel better. I'll put the show notes to those down below. And thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, if you have any future things that you'd like me to cover, please shoot me an email. I'll leave that below as well. And I would love for you to share this with friends, family, people you think would benefit from this, especially if you have someone in your life who has been chasing symptoms without getting the relief that they deserve. Send them my way. I would love for them to hear this podcast. And please leave a review or a starred rating. And I appreciate you so much. And thank you so much for listening. And I will catch you next time on the Mastering Energy Medicine podcast.